Welcome back, everybody, to the second quarter of the Hoops
Woohoo!
HD quadcast. Yes, it's quarter number two because college basketball is
No,
all about
stop
quarters.
it. Stop. we cannot we
These are
cannot
the
have
ongoing
quarters.
Hoops HD season previews 2025, 2026. We got graphics. Uh,
Yes.
but this is our Atlantic 10 preview. If you click this button looking for the American preview, you should have clicked up there. If you're looking for the Mountain West or the West Coast, Griggs, where
It's
did they
down
go?
there. Yeah.
Down there. Okay. Uh, This is our Atlantic 10 preview show, a conference that has borderline whether or not they even belong in getting their own podcast at all for their season previews in recent years, or whether they should just be relegated to their under the radar show. First of all, I'm Chad Short. We got Matt Sikowski, John Stalika, John Titel, and David Griggs with us here. Uh, the A10 this year, though, I am seeing some preseason love for the VCU Rams. And Titel, maybe I'm going to start with you on this VCU team. Phil Martelli Jr. coming in to coach them, and a lot transfer talent here, I guess, is what they've got.
Yeah, I believe in all the Martellis, so I'm willing to give Junior a chance. Senior was certainly great in this conference, I believe, at St. Joe's. One of the notable transfers, Barry Evans from Bryant. He was a All-America East second team player, and I think that Coach Odom, before leaving, left the cupboard relatively intact. So it'll be. I always, you know how I love first year coaches, of course, but he's got a shot, I guess.
A shot, I guess. Griggs, do you like this VCU team at all?
I do. Don't know if I think they're going to be as good as they were a year ago. One of the things that hurt them last year in terms of positioning themselves for a bid was their strength of schedule or lack thereof. Can we pull their schedule up for this year, Chad? Because
Absolutely. Keep talking.
yeah,
I'll get it in a second here.
yeah. I mean, you have to essentially, as simple as this is, uh, do something that's going to make the committee want to take you. And when you're playing Wagner and St. Peter's and Coppin State, and this is actually not
No, it's
great,
not. It's not awful. Come
but
on, you
it's
got you.
not awful like it
Yeah.
was last year.
The
It's
NC State
definitely
road trip,
improved.
Utah
Yeah,
State, that tournament they're in, where they could play St. Mary's, they could play Western
yeah.
Kentucky,
So
Vanderbilt.
this is better. They did not have this last year. In fact, last year I think it was they had 9 or 10 that were sub 250 teams in the metrics. This is better. This will help. Agree or disagree?
Uh, Salika, you agree or disagree?
Well, I think another thing that's going to be interesting for VCU is because of Xavier's misfortune, they actually had a top 60 recruit, Nick Lewis, fall into their lap. So it'll give them a nice freshman to add to a transfer heavy class that also includes Lazar Djokovic, who spent a year at Xavier, but most recently spent a year at Charleston under Chris Mack. Now you look at Terrence Hill Jr. and Christian Fermin; those are going to be a couple examples of Rams who have at least had some experience under Odom's tutelage last year. But I still think the Rams are probably going to be the favorite to end up winning the A10.
Well, let me stick with you a second here, Stalika, because I'm also sharing some love for this Dayton team, although they've had some off-court stuff going on the last week or so, and between injuries and a player who was suspended, I believe, indefinitely.
Well, as far as the player who's been suspended, it was Adam Injai, I think, who was coming in from Iona. So, unlike a player from Wisconsin, he has not been outright dismissed. It's just a question mark at this point for the Flyers. You're still going to have Javon Bennett and Emil Atang, who are returning players from Dayton's squad last year. I mean, Anthony Grant, his time probably starting to run a little short with the Flyers as far as not just getting into the tournament, but trying to win a game or two here and there. They're still going to have a decent schedule with the games at Fifth Third Arena against Cincinnati. They have a return game against Marquette where they upset the Golden Eagles at home last year. And then they're also going to be part of a four-team ESPN Orlando tournament where they play Georgetown and a game against either BYU or Miami. I mean, they have a couple ACC teams on there in Virginia and Florida State, but they're going to be down this year.
Matt, is he right? Is Anthony Grant actually going to be in trouble if they don't make the tournament this year? Because I think that'd be a huge mistake for them to get rid of him.
Yeah, I
Yeah, no, unless it really bottomed out, they were like under 500 for like overall. I couldn't see it in that. I think he's done a pretty decent job on the whole. I mean, granted, it hurts for him that the COVID year, that was when they were going to be like a 1 or 2 seed that year. And I think they might have won it all with Obi Toppin. Like
They
they were
would have been
that
a
good.
one. They would have been a
Yeah.
one seed. They would have been a one seed.
Mhm.
The thing about this Dayton program is, if you're not familiar with it, and if you're watching this show, you probably are, is their resources are far exceed just about everybody else in the conference, and it's not even close in terms of their facilities, in terms of their budget, and you just sort of wonder, and the fan support really is on the level of Power Four programs. It's better than some Power Four programs. So when you have that much to work with and you're not making NCAA tournaments and you're not advancing far into them, people are going to start to wonder, how are we getting outperformed by VCU, by St. Louis, by other teams in the league that have outperformed them at times. I understand their frustration, but I don't think I'm not where Stalik is at, thinking that Anthony Grant's in trouble, but he does need to do a little bit better than what he's done.
I
All
could
right.
argue VCU's outperforming them, not the Billikens, not their Arch Baron Cup run.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. We'll get to the Billikens. I've got another team to discuss first. Tytel, I like this GW team this season, George Washington. I think this could be a very good team in the A10.
So if we were talking about A10 teams with poor non-conference schedules last year, I would say hold my beer, because GW, even though they won 21 last year, they had a revolutionarily atrocious third worst non-conference schedule in the nation.
It was
This
a work
year,
of
they've
art.
taken it up several notches. 5 neutral site games against top 175 teams: South Florida at Mohegan Sun, McNeese, MTSU, and Murray State in the Cayman Islands, and a little defending champion I like to call the Florida Gators in Sunrise, Florida. They still have Rafael Castro, aka Slim. He was second team all conference and all defensive team while shooting 66% from the field, number 3 in the whole country. They bring in Trey Dinkins III from Duquesne, led his team in scoring last year. Tyrone Marshall Jr. from Western Kentucky, 2-time all CUSA honorable mention player. John Aranguren from Hofstra, 14 points a game last year. Boo Boo Benjamin from Charlton State led his team in scoring last year. And of course, the Puppets' favorite strength and conditioning coach ever, Robert Handy Handerahan.
Yes.
I'm also going to point out that George Washington is playing St. Mary's, but it's the St. Mary's on the East Coast, unfortunately.
Yeah, they got a home game against St. Mary's there in St. Mary's of Maryland. Matt, I know you kind of like this Loyola team a little bit this year too, huh?
Yeah. I think, they got the most talented player in the conference in big man Miles Rubin in that. You got Ola Joseph, who was formerly at Minnesota, and I think he was at Loyola last year. This will be his second year there. And then I think Drew Valentine, as much as like it took him a little while to get into the job, the seasoning, all that, and after a great first year with Porter Moser's leftovers, it was a rough couple of years, but now I think things going steady. They're up towards the top of the A10 last year, and I think they'll be right, I think, just behind VCU and Dayton this year. In that, and probably not going to make the tournament, but like, would it stun me if they're at least in the discussion?
All right. Griggs, we mentioned a little bit about the St. Louis team. Did they have any shot with Robbie Avila and company there?
They certainly are getting a lot of preseason love. I'm not as big on them as a lot of the prognosticators are, but I think they're going to be good. They do, yeah. Robbie Avila is a dominant big man. This was a team that was kind of disappointing last year. I mean, they certainly underperformed and did not meet the expectations. I guess that's still fresh in my head. It's interesting you went to me. I am not that big on them, Chad, but I know a lot of people probably are. Hell, they're picked to finish second in the preseason poll. I don't see that.
Do anyone you want to speak up for? Because I kind of agree with Griggs. So does anybody want to speak up in the pro St. Louis? Feel free.
I think Shears is a really good coach. I think this year the talent around, but also the kid to watch out for. I think Brady Dunlap. It's one of those.
Okay.
Wasn't a great fit in Petito's system, but that I think is going to fit like a glove. And Shears' pace and space is going to knock a bunch of threes down and be a big threat for them when they're running or just even early offense.
Tytel, I like to discuss Philly teams with you. How about the Hawks this year?
I'm not loving the Hawks this year. They do bring in the A10 Rookie of the Year, Deuce Jones II, from across the city, as he played at LaSalle last year. But other than that, I think that they could use a little more Martelli Senior, since Martelli Junior is unavailable apparently.
Yeah. You got Joe's, you got a Salika, George Mason, Tony Skin's team there. I think they got a little bit of talent here, guys like Braden O'Connor.
A little bit of talent. It seems like there's a little bit more of an exodus of talent because they've probably been too good to a point where they've been attractive to some higher major programs. But at the same time, I gotta appreciate what Skin has done, at least as far as getting 20-win seasons out of George Mason in his relatively short head coaching career.
Yeah. Beyond that, we've got a bunch of teams left here, Matt. Is there anybody else that really stands out for you this season?
I don't know though, man. Chris Mooney is still at Richmond. Are we going to be saying that next year?
Yeah, Richmond is my dark horse team.
Every year,
Richmond's my dark horse team.
every
Yeah,
year. Every single year, they're your dark horse team. Are you serious about them this year, Griggs?
I do. I really like how they play, and this is why I think they're going to exceed expectations. They don't have guys that have a whole lot of overall D1 experience, but they have Richmond experience, and they've sort of had a year to learn that system. I think they can step into it right away and adapt to it faster, and they might actually be able to surprise some people because they're so hard to play against.
Salika, you have anybody else that you think is worth mentioning?
Well, you could look at potentially Duquesne or St. Bonaventure being a somewhat noisemaker as far as a conference tournament, but that's only because it's not going to be in Brooklyn this year. It's going to be at the Paint Can in Pittsburgh come March.
Yeah,
wow.
Mark Schmidt is proven as a head coach, but I mean a lot of transfers coming in for the Bonnies this year, so I'm not crazy about him. Titel, how about you? Rhode Island, Davidson, Fordham, LaSalle. Anything to look at any of those programs in your opinion?
What has happened to Rhody?
Not much. I do have to mention Davidson's bringing in a transfer from my Penn Quakers, Sam Brown, who is second team All Ivy. It's nice to see that somebody from the humble Ivy League can make it in the big bad A10. But good luck to Sam, and we will miss him because I don't think Penn's going to be pretty good this year.
Let me make one correction to what Greg said. What happened to Archie Miller? This was a guy that was
Thank you.
at Dayton headed in the right direction, but he went to Indiana, flopped there, went to Rhody after getting fired at Indiana, flopping again. Who knows how much time he's got left in Kingston?
Yeah, and where's he going to go next? I mean, is he going to go to Iona and finish 13th every year? I mean, just how much further?
No, his brother may have an opening on his coaching staff.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. A team we haven't discussed yet, Griggs, Fordham. I don't expect anything out of them this year, but I love the hire of Mike Magpio from out west there. Where was he at? Was it UC Riverside where where he made some noise out there? I think it's such a hard job to win at, but I think he's good enough a coach to do so. And he's got some East Coast ties. I believe he had been assistant at Columbia at one point.
It is a hard job. I don't understand why they're having as many problems as they are, and it's been infinitely harder, I think, in the transfer heavy NIL era. But before that, it made no sense that year after year after year that Fordham wasn't just bad. They were mid-level Patriot League and Metro Atlantic bad and maybe even worse. Like, how can they be where they are, have the money that institution has in a basketball-rich part of the country and not even be good accidentally once in a while? That's why I was big on Kyle Neptune. He kind of got Fordham jump-started a little bit, but that did not carry over, and they're really, really bad again.
Yeah, I mean, he won 21 games at Riverside last year, took them to the NIT, their first ever postseason bid. But Titel, how about our last Philly school? How about LaSalle? You've been watching their game against their Sinus today as we recorded, I believe, right?
I'm happy to report that the Explorers just won 99-68. They had a nice balanced scoring effort, including four guys in double figures. So your timing is great on that, Chad. I don't think it's going to be great for new coach Darius Nichols, who I like as a coach, but I think that the cupboard is pretty bare. He does have Noah Collier coming in as a transfer from William and Mary. He tore his left Achilles last year. I hope he's healthy this year. But I think that if there's any team in Philly that might lose to Penn, I'm going with LaSalle.
Yeah, it might be a long year for the Explorers. But let me go through each of you now. The question we like to ask at the end of these shows. Number one, who's your regular season champ? Number two, how many bids? Can this be a multi-bid league? It's been a moment since it's been one, I think. I have to do my research on that, or maybe one of you can pull that up for me. But Slika, you want to start out? Also, any other final thoughts you have as well in the league?
I think this could potentially be the year where the A10 actually does get two bids. I'm going to go with VCU and Dayton. I'll probably say VCU ends up winning the regular season crown, but Dayton should finally win the conference tournament for what would be the first time outside of their own on campus arena. But as far as a final thought, consider when you're in your late 60s, you're probably getting ready to retire. But Sister Jean, back in the early 90s, she was only getting started as far as her career as academic advisor at Loyola, and she spent the better part of over 30 years and became a household phenomenon when the Ramblers were making their run to the Final Four. But sadly, she did pass away over the summer, and Loyola is going to be honoring her memory this year with a patch of her image on their uniforms this year. So Godspeed to Sister Jean.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. And just a quick note, 2 years ago they did get two bids. That was when Duquesne took the tournament bid and Dayton got in as an at-large also. But,
Yeah, Duquesne winning a game in the round of 64. How about that?
uh, but they haven't really had teams, more than one team inside the bubble for now 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
Tytel, how about you?
I'm going one bid league. I agree that if things fall correctly, it could be two bids, but I think that if the Dayton VCU winner in the title game is going to take it and the loser is going to be on the outside looking in. If I had to flip a coin, I'll go Dayton, but they certainly are getting it a little messy off the court these days, so hopefully they can get it organized. As far as a fun fact, I'll go with the fact that when I was at Penn as a student 30 years ago, God help me, our head coach was Fran Dunphy, and one of our assistants was Steve Donahue. Had you told me 30 years ago that Dunphy would end up being the coach at LaSalle last year and Donahue would be the coach at St. Joe's this year, I would have thought you were crazy because, like, number one, how are they still in the business after 30 years? And two, like, why is every other team in Philly snapping up all these great Penn coaches? I certainly cheered for Dunphy my whole life and will continue to cheer for Donahue in his new role with the Hawks. So what's the thing, Chad? The Hawk never dies, I believe?
The Hawk will never die. Matt.
I will go one bid just because I think to get some math going here, and I'll have multiple bids in the next two conferences we preview. So I gotta go one, unfortunately, here. I say VCU Data just misses out, like first four out, like that close. And then I think SLU will sort of be in the discussion, but like maybe like 8th to 12th out or something. And that, but I think it'll be a close player of the year race between Avila and Miles Rubin and Loyola.
I'm going a little different here. I don't think Dayton makes the tournament. I think Anthony Grant still has a job, but I am going two bid league. I'm going VCU and GW in the tournament. I like this GW team.
Wow.
A lot better than the rest of you apparently this year.
Wow.
And I think some of this off-court stuff. Now it could be Dayton replacing one of the two of them, but I think it is a two bid league this year. It's the first year I've said that in a while on the A10. Griggs, how about you?
Wow. I'm surprised you said that because I'm going with two teams, and the two teams I'm going with are VCU and George Washington. I do like this GW team. One of the things that I think the league collectively did a little bit better this year was just in general, they scheduled better, which will improve the metrics and give them more chances to kind of build the resumes and the profiles they need to maybe get the attention of the committee. You mentioned it's been a while since they've had two teams inside of the bubble. What you didn't mention is that there's been multiple times in the last 5 years where they didn't even have one team inside the bubble. This conference is collectively disappointing. I just think that with the programs it has, with the fan bases that it has, with the resources and the branding, this should be a league that's better than what it is. I mean, they need to be sending at least two every year. I think they get two in this year. And the reason I'm not picking Dayton is simply because they let me down every year, and I'm tired of it. Logically, I should pick them, but I'm not doing it again. I'm not
They're
falling
not
for it
letting me
again.
down.
Yeah.
If you were not paying attention to conference realignment in the offseason and you're wondering why we did not discuss UMass, it's because we've said a fond farewell to them out of our above
Yeah,
the radar conferences. We'll be discussing them under the radar. They're now in the MAC.
yeah.
But on that note, I do want to take this chance to thank everybody for joining us. If you had been looking for the American Conference, it's up there, right, Griggs? And
Yep.
Mountain West and West
Oh,
Coast,
right there.
down there somewhere. But this has been our A10 preview show. On behalf of Matt Zukowski, John Salika, John Teitel, and David Griggs, I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back with you with the third quarter of our event tonight with the
It's
Mountain
not
West
quarters.
just in a few minutes.
Not qu-